Well, all of these things are connected, right? And so, when you look at what has been happening in the United States, I think one of the questions, the enduring questions that people have is who's behind all of this? And yes, there are the names, the Barack Obamas and the George Soroses. These are people that are kind of, tactical commanders, operational commanders of much of what we have seen happening in the United States. But there's always this question of who's behind it all? What's the they? Because when you learn about warfare, you learn about genocide, you learn about all these things, you begin to recognize that there are systems of command and control that have to be running these things for them to work. Like, how do you get all these different agencies to work together to suppress the truth? Well, you need a command and control system. And our guest that we have has been working on this for some 9 years with a team. They have documented all of this, and they have a case that's in the court. They've put all of this into government record across many different agencies, from the Department of Justice to the FBI to the intel agencies. They've been all over Congress. They've been to the White House, and they have a case in the courts that shows that the government is derelict in its duty, is failing to investigate. And why? Because the command and control system that has been shutting down all of these things that we have seen, whether it's Fast and Furious under Eric Holder, or it's the IRS persecuting Christian and conservative organizations, or it's the Russia collusion investigation that goes nowhere, or it's the Ukraine impeachment trial. These operations are being run out of an organization called the Council for the Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency that was created under Barack Obama in 2008. And by the way, his partner in creating that, in having this brought into law, was none other than Chuck Grassley on the other side of the aisle. And then it was supported, by people on both sides of the aisle. So they created this council, which is in charge of the inspectors general. So what has been happening, a lot of us are asking ourselves, why is there no one that's willing to stand up in the federal government? We do hear about whistleblowers from time to time, but by and large, these people have been able to weaponize these agencies and walk all over the American people and commit crimes against the American people and get away with it. So you would ask yourself, well, why is that? Well, what do you think happens when you make a whistleblower complaint inside, say, the intelligence community? Where does it go to? It goes to the Inspector General of the intelligence community. Isn't that interesting?
Well,
That's where investigations and complaints, instead of going to be, for them to be acted upon, instead of the right thing to happen, what happens is they go there to die. Right? And so what does the Inspector General, the council, do? They do things like they have an annual gathering every year. Who do they have as their guest of honor? Not so long ago, they had Anthony Fauci. Well, what are they doing there? They're sending a message to all of the Inspector Generals in, like, the National Institutes of Health, for example, and beyond. Don't touch this guy. He's a made man. He belongs to us. And so what they do is, they investigate what they want to, such as when they went after Donald Trump for Russia collusion, right? So when they want to do an investigation to reinforce an operation or a false narrative or to take out their political rivals, they have the power to do that. And when they don't want something to be investigated, or they want that investigation to die on the vine, they're able to do that too. And then when you have people who are retaliated against, whistleblowers who have legal protections against them, well, where do they go? It all ends up in this clearinghouse of the inspectors general, where they have the ability to control whatever they want. So now you wonder why is the Trump administration not investigating, not prosecuting a lot of people when they have enough evidence to do so? Well, in part, it's because it goes back to what is really a kind of rear guard. And if you've felt over the years like there's two governments, two systems of justice, two tiers of accountability in this country, it's because there actually are. And it has names, it has faces, and it has a physical location. And guess what? The article that, the statement when this body was created, you know what it actually says? That they are an independent entity within the executive branch. So they use the protection of the executive branch, but they're not answerable to the chief executive of the executive branch, which is the president of the United States.